Good afternoon, and let me join Sam in thanking Tom and ODI for this opportunity, but also organising this event. And CKDN, I hear, is part of that process. I'll be very brief as to allow you have time to ask the authors questions, which is one of the reasons we are here today. I work with the UNISDR. Some of you may be surprised to know that the UN actually has an office which is set up exclusively to deal and help countries promote disaster risk reduction into their development and humanitarian approaches. And our organization was actually the initiator of the SREX report. We developed the concept in 2007, trying to link closer the knowledge and expertise that we believed was available within our constituency and say that it's very relevant for these discussions on climate change. In addition to the fact that the fourth assessment report hadn't addressed it in a sufficient way, as Martin mentioned. So you can imagine that we are particularly happy to see this report come out, and obviously we see now that we have a very important common responsibility to bring the findings of the report to the relevant constituencies that are out there. In our case, obviously we work with the national and local authorities who are dealing with disaster risk management, and we're going to take it on ourselves to communicate the findings of these reports to those networks through different mechanisms. But as I think you realize from the presentations of the authors, it's a complex issue. It's not an easy subject to communicate to decision makers. And if you're ever going to get a good and clear presentation, this panel of 5 authors presented, I think, an absolutely excellent outline of the findings of this report. And I think they're maybe I'll give 2 examples of why the findings are so important for us, and then I'll finish there. One of the findings of the report is the fact that the risk that countries are exposed to and having to deal with is not driven primarily by the extremes events themselves, but by vulnerability and exposure. And that basically fundamentally positions the whole discussion within the development, investment sphere, and it tells us who should we be talking to when we talk about the findings of this report. We shouldn't be talking to even the disaster managers. We shouldn't be talking to the climate change focal points. We should be talking to the people who are making those development and investment decisions. So that's something that is extremely valuable. It's not a new message for us, but it's a message that's based on assessed science and gives a lot of weight when we go to governments with that message. That's one example. The second example that was very clearly set out by the authors is this fact that the measures that people are taking, early warnings kept coming up from Virginia and others, these measures actually work. There are measures that are effective. Again, it's not news to us, but when we see ministers of finance having to take tough decisions, they don't have as much money as they don't have the resources they'd like to put into education, water, and health and other areas. And we're saying try and also invest in some of these preventive measures. Invest in early warning. It's not an easy case to make. Even if you show a cost benefit, a return, they'll say they may get a better return elsewhere. So these kind of messages coming from a science document are extremely valuable, and I'd like to really stress that fact strongly. And we have to now make sure that we communicate that effectively. And just finally to say that one thing that an eye opener in a way of this whole process for us, and we're not the authors in the report, but having followed the process and tried to get developing country authors involved, is that we discovered there's very little science, published science around the subject. What are the risk drivers? How effective are these measures? We had to discover new terms like grey science. Everything that we put forward, they tell us, that's grey science. You can't use that. It's not published. And so I'd really like to encourage all researchers, and if there are students in this room, we need more research. We need more publications on this topic. It's a fascinating one. So that hopefully when the next assessments take place, they will have much more evidence to bring our case forward. So I will stop there. Thank you for the opportunity.